Okay, today we're looking at what ideas about government were introduced by John Locke, Baron de Montesquieu, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Voltaire. First, we need to talk about what a philosopher is. And philosophers are people who want to use logic and reason to solve problems. You'll recognize those terms, logic and reason, from the scientific revolution. The Glorious Revolution and the ideas of Locke inspired French thinkers to use reason to change the world for the better. John Locke, he believed that people should write a social contract, which is a voluntary agreement to protect the rights of the people. He thought that people were born with natural rights such as life, liberty, and property. Locke believed that it was the government's job to protect the rights of the people, and if they do not, the people have the right to overthrow the government. An example of a social contract. So, before you get on an airplane, you agree to have your belongings searched, and everyone does that, even though you know you aren't a threat, so you can feel safe getting on the airplane, and so other people can feel safe getting on the airplane. Okay? The French philosophers. Locke was an English philosopher. The French philosophers were Baron de Montesquieu, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Voltaire. Montesquieu's idea was to have a new structure for government that was based on 3 branches of government. And you can remember Montesquieu and the 3 branches of government because there are 3 syllables in Montesquieu. 3 branches of government: executive, judicial, legislative. Purpose of dividing the branches was to create a separation of power. This allows all 3 branches to limit and prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. This is called checks and balances. So the executive branch checks the judicial branch checks the legislative branch, and so on. So the separation of powers, like I said, creates a system of checks and balances. Rousseau believed that the government is based on a social contract and that the government's job is to protect the general will of the people. Okay? Rousseau actually wrote a book called The Social Contract. Okay? He believed that human nature was good, but that society corrupted the good nature of humans, and that it was government's job to protect the general will of the public. So when you think social contract, although John Locke talked about a social contract, Rousseau is the one who actually wrote the book called The Social Contract. And his social contract is more focused on the idea that it's the government's job to protect the general will of the people. Voltaire was about civil rights. He felt freedom of speech was the most important right a person could have. He also believed in freedom of religion, separation of church and state. He said that the government and church are disconnected and should stay out of each other's business. So which part of the U.S. Constitution did Voltaire inspire? Voltaire inspired pretty much the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution, and these are known as the Bill of Rights. First Amendment includes freedom of speech and freedom of religion. Today, there are 27 amendments to the U.S. Constitution.